So, Mr. Jonathan Lane is about to come on here in just a minute, so get excited. Be sure to stick around because he's going to transform your perspective about finances and give you that missing puzzle piece. Before that, let's talk about the sponsorship message. If you're an entrepreneur or a high achiever, you want to get your message out into the world in a big way, that's what the 21-day challenge is here to help you do. Get crystal clear on your message, on your mission, on what you're here to do, as well as break it down into bite-sized steps so you can approach it on a day-by-day basis, and you'll have one-on-one accountability with me, making sure that you're showing up and taking those actions. So if you want to find out more about the 21-day challenge, send me an email, chris@beyourgps.com, or find me on Facebook and message me there. Looking forward to talking to you about your 21-day challenge. Next up is the iTunes review of the week. It's by Super Dave. And Super Dave says, highly recommended. Great stuff from a great guy. Insightful talks and discussions that lead to meaningful change. Thanks so much, Dave. If you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes. Give us a review there or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store and let us know what you love, what you feel could be improved, and how we can grow together in the future. Let us know what you're loving. We appreciate that. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. Let's talk about this man, Jonathan Lane. Before we do the intro, grab a pen, grab paper, be ready to take notes because this could be the one thing that can transform the rest of your life. You know, one single moment has the power to change everything for you. So get ready, get excited, be anticipating that gold from this epic interview. Let's introduce him and then we'll bring him on the screen. Jonathan Lane is a young entrepreneur who started his own marketing company and is now helping brand a new name in an old industry. He is looking to help those who are struggling with personal finances and the way he and his family were, and to teach financial education. He is also working as a motivational speaker, sharing stories and insights on what he's learned from millionaire mentors and how to be successful and become your best self. And that's why he's here today with us to empower you to become your greatest possible self. Jonathan, you ready to rock this, bro?
I am ready to rock it, Chris.
Boom! You're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with our audience, dude. We appreciate you taking the time and just giving us that missing puzzle piece, man. We're ready for it.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to dive right into the topic of the day, which is focus and overcome FOMO, fear of missing out. So Jonathan, what's your relationship with focus and overcoming that fear of missing out?
So focus, Jody has a very similar outlook that I have with it in terms of how she was talking about the microscope and sunlight. I believe solely that it is an absolute importance that you really need to be focused on what you do. For me, it all comes with planning. You know, having basically the ideology, if you're throwing darts at a dartboard and you're doing it blindfolded, chances are you're going to miss your target again and again and again. But if you are laser focused and you've done it 1,000 times and like you repetitively, instinctively put it into your mind that you know where you're going, then you have a plan. You have it written down. You've gone through it before. So I believe in 30, 60, 90-day plans. If you have a plan for each month out of the next 3 months, then you know exactly where you're going. You know exactly what you got to be doing on a daily basis to be hitting those goals. And I think that's basically the best way that you can be focused.
That's amazing. Dude, I love it. Gold right there. If you guys ain't taking notes and you're not doing these things, if you're having problems being distracted, being overwhelmed, whatever, listen to what Jonathan is saying. It is gold. Those 30, 60, 90-day goals are so powerful. Every month, every quarter, reviewing, hey, you know, what am I creating this upcoming month or this upcoming quarter is so powerful to have that plan so you know what you need to do on a daily basis to be able to achieve those long-term goals. That's incredible, man.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Precisely. I love that word too. That's awesome. All right, Jonathan. So we're going to keep going, man. Let's talk about who you are and how you serve your clients so our audience can get to know you a little bit more.
Perfect. Yeah. So what's kind of funny is I actually don't come from a financial background. When I first came into this, I was actually working as a bartender by night, building websites by day. So I was very tech savvy, but I also had the communication skills. I love talking to people. That's why I was bartending. But I wanted to really leave an impact on the world. I wanted to be able to provide some sort of service that actually helped people, not just getting them drunk and maybe being their therapist for 30 minutes. So I had a friend who had told me she was really leaving an impact on her clients with what she was doing. So she introduced me to the financial world, basically. Told me about clients that she was helping, how She had sat down with people who were struggling with student loan debt, went from paying $1,000 a month to $200 a month. Now that they have this money freed up, she's basically showing them how to put 400 away a month into an emergency fund. Now that they have something that can be there in case they have emergencies happen, as life happens to all of us. And then with the rest of it, she showed them how to plan for long term. So a lot of people aren't thinking about their retirement. And 40 years down the road, you want to be able to sit there looking into some sort of account, maybe your assets as a whole, and say, I am safe, I'm ready for the next 20 years to retire safely and do exactly what I want to do in my retirement. So that is basically where it all started for me. I had my family currently struggling with finances, and my dad had been trying to refinance a mortgage for 3 years and just couldn't get the help he needed. In 2 weeks, with the company that I joined with her, basically this marketing company, they got the help they needed, and they started saving $1,000 a month on their bills just from that alone. We were able to help them with getting better coverage on their policies through life insurance, as well as car insurance, like you name it. And basically, just overall, they came away with it leaving impacted. And I saw how better their lives were from that, that I thought, I want to be able to do that for other people too. And so they allowed me into their training program. They trained me on exactly how to help people with the way they do it. And now it's a year and a half later, and I'm actually training other people now on how exactly what I went through. And it's just been an amazing journey. And we basically help people of all walks of life, people who have only $100 a month to save, people who have thousands of dollars a month to save. It doesn't matter. We're never going to turn anyone away because we believe in no family left behind. And on top of it, we're teaching them financial education so they know exactly what is happening with their money and how the services are helping them.
So powerful, man. I love it. You can tell that you know your story, you know your history, you understand your journey, and you also know why you're doing the things that you're doing. It's so clear, it's so concise, it's so precise. It's beautiful, man. Super powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love what I do, and I love the team that I work with.
So amazing. Okay, so I want to go back into the journey a little bit more and just see, hey, what were some of those nuggets of wisdom, the moments of of change, life changing moments where you got the wisdom that have you show up today with us. Why don't you take us back to some of those challenging moments that really defined you, Jonathan?
Absolutely. So when I actually first started, I guess a couple of months prior to that, I was going through a huge slump in my life. I hit what I like to call my version of rock bottom. I don't like to say rock bottom because we all have different versions of it.
Right.
For me, it was I had been with a girl for about 2 years. I was in school. I was doing everything that everyone had told me to do: go to school, get a good job, get a good wife, all those things. And I was on the right track with all that. And then eventually, I started to realize I just wasn't a good fit for school anymore. I like the concept of building websites, but I like doing things on my own terms. I didn't like having a boss.
How did you get into building websites?
It taught myself. I honestly just looked up coding, and I was doing it in school, but they were doing it very slow pace. Very, very, very slow pace. And I wanted to get the ball running, so I taught myself how to do it. I just went on YouTube, went on websites, learned how to code, and slowly but surely started building my own websites.
That's awesome.
I did for a little while, built about 3 websites for different people just on a client service basis. And that was basically all it was. For me, it was very simple just because I was very good at math, very technical, love technology, been on computers since I was probably 2 years old.
That's right.
That's always been my thing.
That's right.
But eventually it led to me being broken up over Skype by this woman who I was about to propose to a week later.
Wow.
And it became the downfall of a lot of things. I ended up having terrible grades in school, basically just gave up on that whole lifestyle and just realized this wasn't for me. It ended up being a blessing in disguise, though, because it made me start a journey of self-love. I realized that I was so dependent on other people accepting me and loving me that I didn't love myself enough. And so I started working on myself physically, mentally, and spiritually. Started going to the gym more. Started listening to personal development. A lot of people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, really just diving into everything like that. And then I started meditating a lot, really listening to myself of what I wanted. And I realized I want to impact the world. I want to be able to look back at whatever my endpoint is and say that I left something here that made the world a better place than before I was here. And so that's kind of where it all started. That led to me having to go through a lot of ups and downs in business. Obviously, when you start a marketing company, it starts with I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to go through it anyways.
Yep.
And so I had a very good success the first couple months, and it led to lots of downfalls. Basically, I plateaued, and the plateau led to another slump. And each slump, each plateau was just a huge learning experience. I have had a lot of failures, and every failure has led to a new success. Every moment where I felt like I wasn't good enough, I ended up realizing I just needed to shift my mindset 1 degree, and everything started to change.
Wow. Dude, I love it. Jonathan, it's so powerful, man. It's like really, really concise. And I want to know, when you started your financial services company, like, what was the dream that you saw possible when you first started?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things that I slowly started to learn is the financial services industry is probably one of the highest paid industries in the world. And so I have amazing parents. They have given me probably everything and more than I ever needed in life. And my goal is one day to be able to tell them, hey, you don't have to work anymore. I'm your retirement. So that was kind of like my vision. I wanted to be able to one day be able to hand my parents a check or several checks and tell them, hey, you're going on a cruise this week. Hey, your house is paid off. All those things. And I saw that happening with this company, with this service that we were able to provide to people. And so that was what I saw. I saw not only a lifestyle that I could provide for myself that I wanted, but the people that I love and care for.
That's amazing. Amazing, man. So how would you say you have grown and evolved since starting the career in financial services?
Gosh, for instance, a year and a half ago, you wouldn't even catch me on a podcast like this.
Wow.
I was the shyest, most introverted person you'd probably ever meet in your entire life. I did not like talking to people. Anytime people would even lock eye contact with me, I would immediately just look away. I couldn't even hold a conversation for more than probably 20 seconds. And what they had me do is get into a more public speaking role. I had to start, actually teaching people financial education. So they were like, you're going to have to get used to speaking in front of 20, 30, probably even 100 people one day. And then I had to start really breaking the floor, as we like to call it. A bunch of people are talking. How do you get their attention? I got to be that person that basically says, hey, we're going to get started, which means I had to get completely out of my comfort zone. And so that was really what it was. It was just one thing after another, completely breaking me out of my comfort zone. I remember the first time I had to get up and speak, I was like, hi, my name is Jonathan. And now, compared to obviously how then to today, I love speaking. It has become my passion. I post a 1-minute video every day, just some sort of motivation, inspiration, things that I've learned in passing or things I've learned just from people who've mentored me along the way. I've been blessed with mentors and leaders who have shown me how to be better at planning, time management, how I should be thinking, training my subconscious mind. The list honestly goes on and on. It's been, in just a year, I feel like I've learned more about myself and where I should go with my life than the past 20.
So powerful. So let's dive into this puzzle piece that people need to have, because like you've gone from hitting your own highs and plateaus and slumps and getting into this industry, and now you're speaking and sharing this information. So let's talk about, what is that puzzle piece, or what are the things that people are missing in financial awareness and literacy that they can really start implementing and taking action on today?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the way I like to consider wealth or building wealth is it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Can you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without peanut butter?
No.
No, obviously not. And you can't do it without jelly, and you can't do it without bread. You need all 3 components in order to have a PB&J. So wealth is kind of the same way. If you truly want wealth sometime at a point in your life, there's 3 things. You need time. You need to understand how to get a higher rate of return on your money. And you have to understand taxes. So the way I like to break that up is, if I can show you how to get $10,000 and turn it into $20,000, you would want to know how to do that, right?
Correct.
And if I can show you, once it turns into $20,000, along the way, how to not lose money. So no risk. We take risk off the table. You'd probably want to know how to do that too.
Definitely.
Then, once it's $20,000, ultimately, Uncle Sam wants his fair share. So how much of that do you get to keep? So understanding how to limit or reduce the taxation that's going to come on the $20,000. So that is basically what I teach people. I teach people all three of those components. We also explain, if they don't understand what the rule of 72 is, which is something that Albert Einstein actually invented, and he called it the eighth wonder of the world. And it's basically just teaching people one simple concept. You take the interest that you're getting on your money, you divide that into 72, and that'll show you how many years it takes for your money to double. So the way I like to do it is with simple math. Let's just say you're getting 1% on your money, putting in the bank, whatever it is that you're doing. We use that formula. That means it's taking 72 years for your money to double once, which means it'll probably never even happen. So what we try to do is get them involved into certain vehicles that can get them at least 6%.
Yeah.
Using that same math, that means the money starts doubling every 18 to 12 years. But I want to get them even further than that. I want to get them up to 10 to probably even 12%. If we're using a 12% basis, that means their money starts doubling basically almost every 6 to 7 years. That means you can turn $10,000 into $640,000 over a course of 30 years. Wow. And that's just simply understanding how to really get the rate of return that you deserve, because people deserve this type of rate of return. They deserve to have a peace of mind that their money is growing safely and in a way that by the time they hit 65 or whatever age they want to retire, they have what I call your financial independence number, because we all want financial independence. But how do you reach that number? So what I do is I help calculate. You tell me, what is it that you want to have when you retire? Is it $1 million? Is it $2 million? Is it $3 million? Whatever it might be. Then we figure out how much time does it take, or how much time do you have left to get to that age that you want to retire. Then once we know that, I just have to figure out what's the interest that we need to be getting on your money, and how much do you need to be putting away each month or each year in order to achieve that goal. And so I walk them step by step, and if they don't have the money, we look into their debt. We look into how much are they paying on their expenses, and we figure out a way to manage it so that we can reach their goals. And it's always a case-by-case basis. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different goal. Everyone has different payments that they can make. So we always work in the best interest of the client, because we want to help everyone.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think that understanding, hey, where do we want to get to? That end destination is super important. How much money do we want to have when we retire? Well, if it's 3 million, here's the plan that we need to be on and executing on to be able to get there. If we're not doing that on a weekly basis in our 30, 60, 90-day goals, like you were talking about earlier, if we're not hitting those milestones, then we got to course correct. We got to save more money. We got to, cut spending. We got to bring in more money. We got to, whatever that is, to be able to get to that end destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier than you might think. It's just, if people knew better, they would do better. And that's all it is. And that's why we teach financial education on top of everything. Because they don't want to just, say, here's $10,000, make it $1 million. They want to know how it's happening. Or at least I hope they want to know how it's happening. And ultimately, by showing them how it works, they have a better understanding. So we can follow up with them, whether it's every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, and show them a full report of what's going on. That way, there's no hidden things. They can call me anytime and say, hey, I just wanted to follow up with my account. I'd be like, absolutely. Do you want to do it in person? Do you want to sit down with me? I can do it over the phone with you right now. Just give me 10 minutes. And I can walk them through exactly how to get to where they want to be.
Super cool. So, Jonathan, how do you mix in the motivational speaking with this financial mentorship aspect? That it's your career, and then the motivational speaking. How do you mix those?
So, obviously, financial services is kind of dull. A lot of people think about, I'm going to get help with my finances, and a little thing in their mind says it's not something they probably even want to talk about. So I like to use motivational speaking because I feel like it really just brings a little bit more energy into
Mm-hmm.
like the whole environment as a whole. But it's something that I think really is necessary in our day and age right now.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really got me started with it was I remember when I first started just kind of posting videos, it was just a hobby.
Mm.
And I posted a video on basically not giving up. I talked about how I hit my version of rock bottom, and because I did that, I realized I had nowhere else to go but up. And I had a friend who basically messaged me the next day, told me, "Hey man, I really liked your video." And I was like, "Oh, thanks. It's just something I'm trying out. I don't really know how I feel about it yet." He said, "Yeah, honestly, it really spoke to me because I was actually contemplating suicide.
Wow.
After watching your video, though, it made me realize, you're right. I don't have anywhere else to go but up. I'm already hitting the bottom of where I am right now, so why not just keep going and see what happens?" Today, you look at him now, and he is in a successful career. He has an amazing relationship, and I still have weekly calls almost with him, hearing about how if it wasn't for that video, he probably wouldn't be where he is today. And so that just made me realize, I gotta keep doing this.
Mm.
Maybe it's just I don't know what message I'm saying today. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but someone needs to hear what I'm saying. And
Mm.
I'm not for everyone. Some people probably need, that what's his name?
Gary
You know,
V.
Gary Vee. He's in your face, like really, like almost like not necessarily like talking down to you, but
Yeah.
he's just like he's cutthroat. He
Yeah.
doesn't cut the bullshit.
Mm.
Some people need a Les Brown, who's
Mm.
like a motivational speaker, but he is a little bit more sympathetic. Maybe they
Mm.
need a Tony Robbins who forces you to literally get up and move your body. I might be just speaking to a certain crowd that needs to hear it the way I speak.
Yeah.
And so that's ultimately what I started doing with the business too.
Mm.
I have a lot of clients and team members that I work with. Sometimes they're having that off day, and so it's nice when you just have someone who has positive energy that you can kind of be around. And so if I can do that for people in an industry that can be kind of boring sometimes, I feel why not? And
Yeah.
so we hold weekly trainings, and we make our trainings more energetic now. We
Mm.
get up, we say, all right, we're going to dance a little bit, get a little pep in your step. And we do talks to really talk about, why are we doing this? Why
Mm.
are we helping people the way that we're helping people? Why are you going out in the field and on a rainy day? You had a long day already, but you got to have that one client meeting at like 9 p.m. at night because that's the only time they're available. But hey, man, they need our help, and
Yeah.
you got to bring the energy when you go because
Yep.
people they don't like talking about their finances sometimes,
Mm.
especially if they're not doing well. But then if you come in 9 p.m. at night, rainy day, with high energy, they're
Yeah.
already thinking like, is this guy crazy? Or and then you sit down and you talk with them, you build a relationship in like 10 minutes with them,
Mm.
and then they feel way more comfortable
Yeah.
about the fact that they got to tell you, yeah, I got $20,000 in credit card debt and I have no idea what to do about it. And so I ultimately believe that's just why I was meant to be more motivational speaker about it.
Mm. Yeah. So I hear that you really relate to people where they're at, and the way that you show up, you know that your message is unique and you have your own perspective.
Yeah.
And other motivational speakers and teachers and mentors and coaches, they have their own way of saying it. So I'm curious, how have you seen your message and your voice evolve over the last couple years as you've really started to own it more and get in front of people more, make more content, different stuff like that?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was really, really nervous. I mean, I
Mm.
felt like my voice would really crack a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't come off confident,
Mm.
and it was what I realized is that I knew what I said was good.
Mhm.
I just didn't believe it enough. And
Mm.
so what really developed and grew was I really started not just to believe more in myself, but the message I was giving. I
Mm.
started to believe wholeheartedly in the advice and the comments and any sort of inspirational talk I gave. I believed it because I started doing it too.
Mm.
And so anytime I give a message on anything that I talk about, it's because in some way, shape, or form, I'm working on it myself.
Mm.
And so even now, I'll do videos where I tell people this is a message today coming to you about a personal experience I had. And I feel like that makes it relatable. And so I've learned better on how to talk to the four ways that people communicate, which is kinesthetic, how they feel, auditory, how they hear things, visual, because some people are more visual with things, and then auditory digital. They're more system, they're technical. They want to just, they don't want the fluff. They want the facts. And so I've learned over time really how to effectively communicate in one message in 1 minute to all four of those people. So that way each person can understand the message I'm getting across. Because I'm only speaking visually, I'm only really speaking to a quarter of the population that's even listening to me. So that was the biggest thing I would say I grew upon as I developed my speaking skills.
So I'm curious, what would be a topic that you see that you're passionate about this week? Let's role play what it would sound like, a 60-second or so spiel, and let's hear some of that motivation, that passion. What's something that you want to talk about right now that you're passionate about?
Perfect. Right now it'd be about commitments to yourself. So if you can't keep the commitments to yourself, how do you expect anyone to keep a commitment to you? So people are looking out for those that they see are an inspiration to them. They want a leader. If anything, you can have a leader following a leader. And all they're doing is they want to replicate the goodness, the behaviors. They're looking at everything that you do. And if you make a commitment, you say, I'm going to be here at 3 p.m. on the dot, and you show up at 4, then you're not keeping a commitment to yourself. But through making commitments to yourself, you increase your fulfillment to yourself. You increase your happiness. You feel more grateful about life because you know that you are doing the right thing and you mean what you say and you say what you mean.
Damn. And I heard those too. I heard like, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you say? I heard, what do you feel? That's powerful, man.
Yeah. And you get better at figuring out like what words you have to say to really connect to these people. And it eventually just breaks down to those 4 words: feel, say, hear, and think. As long as you say those 4 words within your speech, everyone can connect to you in some way.
Wow. That's amazing. Super cool, Jonathan. So I'm curious, what would you say the power of mentorship and being around millionaires and people who are ahead of you, what has that really done for you to help you grow?
Oh, it's helped me raise my identity. When like 2 years ago, I thought if I could just make $50,000 a year, I'd be happy. I figured that, but I identified with that. So I identified as a person who's only capable of making $50,000 a year. Through being mentored by millionaires and all these people who, gone from like rags to riches, people who were in debt, who've gone through the struggle, and now they're where they are now, I realized I am not just capable, I am worthy, and I deserve to be making at the minimum $1 million. That's what they always tell me, shoot for 10 million and miss with $1 million.
Yep.
Why not? And so, for instance, one of the people that mentors a lot of the people in our company right now, his name is Kumar Peryu. And anyone that knows this guy, they know that Tony Robbins hires this guy to come and mentor millionaires. And they each pay like $1 million to get personal coaching from this guy. And now he's coaching us. And not for $1 million. He says, like, if you give me 200, if your team pays $200 each, I'll come and train them. And we look at that and we're like, it's baffling to us, but it's because he really cares. He really wants people to realize that they are capable and they deserve to be millionaires. And he really taught me how it's honestly selfish to not want to be a millionaire, because it's not just about you. Because obviously when you have $1 million, you're not just spending it all on yourself. For me, it's I want to spend it on my family. I want to be able to go buy a car. And he says, when you go and buy that nice car, you're not just helping yourself with the fulfillment of having that car. You're helping the guy who's selling the car. You're helping the people who manufacture the car. You're helping all the people who put in labor and hours and energy and had to go through years of learning how to do their craft. You're paying for them to continue to have a job. So it is selfish for you not to want to have more money come into your pocket so that you can help the economy and everyone else out there. And so that's the biggest thing is like, I've just learned, wow, I really identified as someone who was, afraid of money. I was afraid of having more. I thought it was a bad thing. And he told me it's a great thing to want to have more money. He's like, you're not in the need business. You're in the wanting business because you need to want more. You have everything you need right now. You have everything you need to be successful. You have to keep wanting more and wanting more and wanting more because that's what's going to help you identify as someone who is a millionaire.
Wow.
And so what I like to say to a lot of my clients and people I work with is I say, you know what? I'm a millionaire. It just hasn't been deposited in my bank account yet. And I tell them, you should tell yourself that because one day you're going to look at your account and it's going to be there.
Wow. I love that. I'm a millionaire. It just hasn't been deposited in my bank account yet. And that's really so powerful. It's like, what kind of person am I? I'm the type of person who's a millionaire. It just hasn't showed up in my bank account yet. I'm developing the habits. I'm developing the systems, the routines, the relationships, the environment. And it's just a matter of time before that result manifests because of the actions that I'm taking.
And it's something that Jody pressed upon. You know, you got to believe it before you see it.
Yep.
It's so true. If you don't believe it's going to happen for you, then again, you're just throwing darts with a blindfold on.
That's beautiful. Jonathan, I think this is really great. And I know anyone who's tuning in right now, you guys are getting tons of value and tons of like real practical information to shift your mindset to focus on, hey, what's my relationship with money? Who am I surrounding myself with? Am I getting mentored? Am I getting taught by people who I'm looking up to? And I think really shifting those beliefs is super, super important. So Jonathan, is there any other things that you see people doing wrong in terms of their finances? They're not paying attention. They're not, being aware and being present with what's going on so that they can create that success.
Yeah, so I would say, well, obviously the biggest concern right now, we're kind of having like a little bit of an economic crisis in America where around 50 to 60% of people are not ready for a $500 emergency bill.
Wow.
Whatever that might be. It might be a car breaking down, you got to go to the hospital, whatever it is. So the biggest concern that I always see with a lot of people is I ask them, how much money do you have saved, whatever it is? And I'd say over 50% of the time, they say zero.
Wow.
They haven't even started. It's like an afterthought. They're not even thinking about it. And so I tell them, if you can at least save $5 a week, start getting that to $20 a month.
Yep.
Do that for a year. That ends up being, X amount of money. But the point behind it is you start.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the dollar amount. And I say X because it's not important what the amount is. It's the importance of building the habit.
Yep.
See, people have a habit of spending money. That's why when we say people are living paycheck to paycheck, it's because that's become a habit for them. So what I like to tell people is start paying you.
Yeah. Pay
yourself first before you pay your bills. And this is something I learned from Warren Buffett and a lot of other millionaire mentors is they talk highly about, whenever I get any sort of money, whether it's a paycheck, whether it's profits, whether it's some sort of income, I take 10% of that and it immediately goes into account for me. That is my money. And I'm paying myself for what I did. And so it starts to build a habit, and 10% of $100 is $10. If you get $100, just put $10 away. Right. And as long as you keep building that habit, you're going to start to see an account grow and you're going to be amazed at the habit that you built and what it's done for your life. And so that's really the issue that I like to press upon with people is start paying yourself first. You deserve it, treat yourself. Yeah. And so do whatever you can today to start saving even a little bit because a little bit today can go a long way in the years down the road because eventually when you start seeing how easy it is, you start saying, well, $20 a month is easy. What if I'm going to do $50 a month this month? And then you just start increasing it. Eventually 50 becomes 100, 100 becomes 200, 200 becomes 1,000, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So it's really those small incremental steps of like, what are the actions I'm taking? What's the habit to show that I'm being responsible with my money, with what I'm given? I'm being smart. I'm being strategic. I'm behaving as a wealthy person who pays themselves first.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it all comes from, I read a book called The Slight Edge, and it really talks about how doing little things in the beginning, you don't see it. Like the first month, first 2 months, it's like working out. When you first start working out, you come back from that first day at the gym and you're like, man, I'm the same. Nothing happened. But after a week and 2 weeks and a month and then a year, you really start to see the changes happen.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. It's all about doing a little bit at a time, so that over a course of a long period of time, you just start to see the slope go like that, and you have exponential growth in the long term.
Hmm. How do people self-sabotage the progress when they start doing that $10 a month? Do they want it to go faster? Do they stop the habit? What do you think gets in the way the most?
I'd say it's a mix of both. A lot of people, they don't see it growing fast enough.
Hmm.
Like they want to have like $1,000 already. But I mean, if you're saving $20 a month, it's going to take a little while.
Right.
The other thing is all of a sudden their favorite new car comes out. Their new that video game came out this quarter. This whatever perfume, the cologne, some sort of materialistic item
Mm.
comes into their view. It's there's ads everywhere that show us the lifestyle we want.
Yep.
And so what a lot of people are doing is, even though they're not rich and not wealthy, they like to buy things that make them look rich and wealthy because they hear this term "fake it till you make it," and I think it gets misinterpreted a lot of times.
Mm.
It's not about making yourself look wealthy just because you want to perceive everyone to make them believe that you are wealthy.
Right.
You got to go through the trenches in the beginning. In the beginning, it's hard. Everything is always beginning. In the beginning, it's difficult.
Mm.
It becomes easy with repetition. I've talked with salespeople, and I told them, what was it like the first time you heard no? And they're like, oh man, it was freaking devastating. So like, I was getting all clammy, I was sweating, I was nervous, my heart was racing. I was like, how was it the 100th time? He was like, all right, whatever, next.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, in the beginning it's tough, you're nervous, and it feels uncomfortable, but through uncomfortability, you receive the most growth. They always say everything is right outside your comfort zone, and it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. So people want it to go faster. They stop doing the habits. They have, I think, the expectations, right? It's like the
Yep.
expectation of how fast it's supposed to happen, and the overnight transformation, overnight millionaire. It's just
Yeah.
unrealistic, and people have been conditioned to expect things that quickly, and also the self-discipline to be able to be self-disciplined, say, hey, I'm not touching that money. What would you recommend as a way to distance ourselves from the money, or so that we don't even think about it? Or do we have to touch the money and put it into a jar or a safe, or some kind of lockbox, or online? What strategies do you recommend for that?
So I use a couple different strategies with people. One that I really love that we use right now is we teach people about certain products that they can put their money into.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these products have a little bit of a rule where it says, you have to have a certain amount of money put into this before you can really pull out the cash value from it.
Okay.
And so some of them are 5 years, some of them can be up to 15 years. And what it forces you to do is basically have the understanding that I'm not touching this money for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
And until that moment hits, I can then, if I want to, ultimately start pulling the money out.
Right.
And so that makes it easier for them to develop self-discipline, because I advise them and I tell them, look, you got to know up front that you're committing to this, because if you tell me 2 months want to pull the money out, I'm sorry, you can't. That's just how some of these products work. And ultimately it forces them to have the money continue to be pulled out monthly. And that's why the 401k is so powerful in like the industries, wherever company you work for, because it's built this habit for people of understanding like, yep, that money's going to come out of my paycheck before I get it. So I'm not even thinking about it by the time I get my paycheck.
Right.
And so we just teach people the same thing that we teach them. The thing about the 401ks is it's all pre-tax. And so with that, let's say $10,000 becomes $100,000. Well, they're not taxing you on $10,000, but once it hits $100,000, all of a sudden now Uncle Sam wants his fair share. So now instead of paying $2,000 to maybe $3,000, you're paying $20,000 to $30,000.
Wow.
And so we show them a lot of advantages to the taxes, where we can help them pay the taxes up front, so that when it becomes $100,000 later on, whether it's 10, 15 years down the road, you get 100% of that money tax free.
And is that just knowing like the right paperwork and the right vehicles, so to speak, to put it into, so you can make sure to prepare up front for that kind of a result on the back end?
Yeah, so a lot of it is it comes from the financial education, definitely, because a lot of people just don't know these things exist.
Right.
You know, they've always heard, you know, just if you get work for a great company, make sure you start a 401k and start saving for retirement. But that's the only strategy they've heard because it's
Right.
the only one that they've taught. And so it is a little bit of just, you know, understanding the right paperwork. I wouldn't even say the right paperwork, just understanding the right, you know, vehicles to be putting your money into. Because there's thousands out there. But a lot of people think, you know, they hear these percentages interest or whatever, and they think, oh, that's a good number, but they don't fully understand, am I hitting my goal of what I want to do with this money later on
Mm.
down the road?
Mm.
And so we show them literally everything. I say, you know, if you want to start saving for retirement, these are all your options. These are what I would recommend for based on what your goals are.
Mhm.
These will get you there too, but these are going to make you pay out a lot more money.
Yeah.
And with anything in life, there's obviously going to be some fees and, you know, services, whatever it might be. Especially if you're looking at, you know, professional money management,
Mhm.
then you got to pay certain fees for that.
Right.
But we can show you certain vehicles that make it so the fees are smaller. You know, you make sure you pay your taxes up front, and that way you have more money going towards the ultimate end goal.
Hmm. Powerful. And it's really the being educated on what's available. I think that's what people are missing because
Yeah.
we're not taught this in school. We're not
Mhm.
typically most middle class Americans don't have a level
Absolutely.
of financial literacy that can prepare them for a successful retirement of being a
Mhm.
millionaire. It's just like you said, just barely scraping by, not even $500 to pay for an emergency. So it's like we
Yeah.
we have to take it upon ourselves to be educated, to get educated with people's help like yours, Jonathan.
Yeah. And not everybody's waking up and thinking like, I'm gonna go get my finances together today. And let's say they were. You know, let's say those people were thinking that one day.
Uh-huh.
Where do they go?
Mm,
Where do they start? They have no idea. So
mm,
then it just goes back to the drawing board. Well, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to start. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
yeah.
And so that's why we try to reach out to as many people as we can. It's just a simple conversation sometimes to really get them understanding habits that can
Mm,
help them financially. And you know, we've realized, you know, there's if you imagine a room of like 1,000 people,
mm,
realistically, the reason the wealthy are so wealthy is because there's only 1% of them.
mhm,
And you know, so we're taking 1% of people who either have a financial professional or are financially literate, then only 10 people of every 1,000 are doing well, which means 990 people have no idea what they're doing.
wow.
So we're trying to reach out to those people, the people who get left behind,
Mm,
because obviously that's a huge market, you know, and there's a need for what we do. So
yeah.
we figure why not help them? And
Mm,
you know, I've never seen anything wrong with making a lot of money if you're helping people while doing it.
that's right. Yeah, helping people changing their lives, changing their financial destiny, changing their legacy, their family generational wealth. That's huge. Changing
Yep.
changing everything for someone and
Mhm.
what they leave behind. Because I think that's what most people recognize is at the end of their life they're seeing these older people who are dying and getting into retirement, and they don't have enough money, they don't have enough care, they don't have enough like just to cover the bare basics, the bare minimum. And it's
Yeah.
like, why are you going to leave your family with those kinds of burdens? Like, prepare them to be able to take care of you. Prepare yourself to be able to take care of yourself, and make it a great experience and opportunity for them to celebrate your life at the end of your life, rather than have tons of regrets and be a big burden.
Exactly.
Mm,
And we found that people who are entering retirement, you know, most of them, I'd say at least 70%, only have about $40,000 saved.
wow.
And they're going to blow through that in like a year, maybe less, if they even can survive. And which means, you know, that's why you see a lot of, you know, Walmart greeters or
Yeah.
people, the average Walmart greeter is 65 plus. And, you know, they're working these jobs that obviously they don't want to, but they
Mm,
don't have a choice. You
mm,
know, they're kind of dealing with the cards that have been dealt with them. And so we're just trying to give you the four aces that you really need.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. Four aces. That's beautiful, man. What a great analogy. Just having the cards stacked in your favor. And that's
Exactly.
with preparation, it's with education, and I think Jim Rohn says you must suffer one of two pains in life. The pain of discipline, which is doing it now, the little hassle, like to pick up the phone and call someone or to schedule a call or whatever it might be, or the pain of regret. And that's the end of your life, feeling this deep, heavy soreness and disappointment in your heart that you didn't take those actions. So anyone who's listening or watching right now, if you are in a position where you need to take that next step, you need to get the advice, the wisdom, the guidance, like figure out whatever that next step is. Is it to call Jonathan? Is it to schedule an appointment, reach out to him, send him an email, connect on Instagram, whatever that next step is? Like, what is it for you? Is it to understand your options? Is it to, maybe your options, you just haven't been taking action on them, like just really take this moment right now in the next minute or two while Jonathan and we still got another couple minutes here talking, but like take out a piece of paper and pen or open up your phone and say, hey, what's the next step? Like if you're not doing any investing at all, find something that can do $10 a month. Google or talk to Jonathan and ask, hey, like what's a system I can put $10 a month into, or $20 a month, or $10 a week, or whatever the number is for you, and just start building that habit and knowing your options. That's huge too. And Jonathan, you can definitely help them with that too, right?
Oh, of course. That's what I'm here for.
Beautiful. Beautiful, man. So I think that's super important that you get clear on that next step, whatever that is. So if you're listening or watching, take that next step into your financial GPS future and make it happen. And we're here to support you with that. So Jonathan, in terms of building the movement around this, what do you really see as possible? Because you're out there to really change people's destinies, their financial destinies, the legacies that they leave behind. What are you out to really create with this movement?
So for instance, my vision, and I say my vision because goals and vision are a little bit different.
Yeah.
My ultimate vision is to help at least 1 million families. And obviously I can't do that alone. So I look for people who I feel are, looking to help others too. And I give them the opportunity to either work with myself or my team. And that way we can impact more lives along the way. And so basically we want to have everyone in America financially educated, whether it's by me or someone, I don't personally care who it's by. It's just we realize that a lot of people need financial education. It's not taught in school. It's something that completely gets left on the table. People are struggling to even understand how to balance a checkbook. So the movement is all about really just teaching people. If I can, at the very least, teach you some financial concepts that leave you with a greater understanding of what to do with your finances, I've at least done what I consider my job.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mix that in with the motivational, inspirational mindset life. How do you be inspired in life? How do you live your purpose in life? How do you stay resilient and resourceful and dynamic in life? Be passionate, be alive, have fun, be happy. You mix the finances in with that kind of what people want to hear, like, oh, I want to be inspired. I want to be on fire. I want to, make lots of money. And you can include that in like, hey, what's possible? Like people love the possibilities. They love dreaming. They love that inspiration. And you mix in the concrete. Hey, what do you really have to do? Okay. So you want this big vision, big dream. You want to be a multimillionaire. You want the Lamborghini, whatever that is, right? What do you have to do today? And I think that you need that accountability piece as well as the inspiration piece. And Jonathan, you're delivering that in spades, man.
I appreciate that. And I couldn't have said it better myself. It's, I want people to dream again. Yeah. I feel like especially when you're talking to a lot of people who are struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with, they're just not dreaming anymore. And that's what we do when we sit down with clients. I tell them, if money wasn't an option or money wasn't a hassle anymore for you, what would you want to do with your life? And let's figure out how to get there. Maybe it's you want to be able to have a home to support your family and grow old with. Let me figure out what I can do to help you get there. One of the last things I usually ask people when I sit down with them is I say, what is your biggest financial headache? And if I could take that away for you, how good would you feel about saving money and feeling like you're on the right track again?
Wow. So the biggest financial headache, be able to remedy that and get you back on track. Like, what would it be like if we could tackle that? And what do you feel what opens up for people when you ask them that kind of question?
I would say more than 50% of the time, it's their debt payments. A lot of people right now are currently struggling with student loan debt, and that is probably the biggest thing that we actually help people with right now. We have such a great program for it too. We've someone here in the office had about $20,000 in student loan debt,
Mm.
and it was for a school that actually got closed down. It was one of those for-profit schools,
Mm.
and so they were still asking her for money because it
Wow.
just got sent to a collection agency. So what we did is we got her in touch with our partner program called Tita Debt Free,
Mhm.
and she basically relieved all the debt, and not just relieved the debt, she got her the money back.
Mm.
So she got all $20,000 of the money she spent on school back into her life, and that was life changing for her.
Wow.
And we have multiple cases of that. People who are spending $1,000 a month, and we get them down to $200 a month. People, who have $500 payments, and now we get them down to 50.
Wow.
And it's just about relieving those payments so that you can start putting money into vehicles that actually grow your money. And then that way, later on down the road, if the debt for some reason still might exist, you can pay it off in full 5 years down the road. But the best part is you might still have some money left over.
Wow. It's so powerful. So, Jonathan, this has been super valuable, man. If there was one piece of wisdom that you want our audience to receive and implement right away because of this interview, what would that be?
I would say start writing down the goals and the visions that you have for yourself,
Hmm.
and then start really planning out how you want to get there. Start reverse engineering.
Hmm.
Let's say this is where you want to be by 70. What do you have to start doing? Whether it's saving money and creating a habit out of that, or maybe you have to start taking action. Start doing something that you're passionate about and find a way to start making money doing it. Because I guarantee you, if you do what you love, you're never going to work a day in your
Mm. Amen. I love it. Jonathan, how do people stay connected with you? How do they take that next step with you, take advantage of your services, and continue growing with you?
Oh yeah, there's several ways. So I'm on Facebook. You can look me up, Jonathan Lane. I have an office that I work out of. I just got fancy pens with our office location and everything.
Yeah.
So they can call me directly at my phone number, which I think might be listed down. The other one is if they want to call my office to book a time with me, that's just 858-715-3830. And then I also have a website, jonathanlane.virtuity.com.
Mm.
It has free financial concepts on there. You can look up some blog articles that get posted, teaches you some very basic stuff free of hand. And if you want to book an appointment with me on there, there's a little segment for that too. And I'm also on Instagram every day, posting motivational experiences that I have, our inspirational talks. And I'm known as Jonathan underscore the underscore orator. So several
Mm.
ways.
Amazing, man. I love what you're doing, Jonathan. Building the legacy and the legend right now. It's
Absolutely.
inspiring, man. I really appreciate you and what you stand for and giving people this financial education and wisdom so they can make better choices and doing it in a real way. You're just like
Oh, yeah.
connected, you're grounded, you're just showing up authentic and just being present. And it's absolutely amazing. And I totally acknowledge you. And anyone who's listening or watching, definitely stay connected with Jonathan. He's a powerhouse. There's so much goodness to come from you. I can feel it, man. You're
I
doing awesome
appreciate that.
things.
And I really appreciate you, Chris. I
Thank you,
mean,
man.
I was listening to some of the people that were on this before me, and I just think the value, the wisdom they provide is tremendous. What you're doing, this movement that you have, I'm amazed that you can stay awake for 12 hours, man. Like that's incredible to me. Like I'm speechless, honestly. It's incredible what you're doing.
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate you, man,
Absolutely.
and so many blessings and well wishes. And I know you're going to crush it, man, and
I
inspire so
appreciate
many
that.
people and just build the life of your dreams. So keep up the great work, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you so
Okay?
much. I look forward to it.
Awesome, man. Take care.
You too, Chris.